Right now, we're about to get into Trap Lawyer Ross, UK's expert culture vulture. We're going to dig deep into some of the things he's said and done and discuss why he's considered one of the biggest culture vultures around. But first, take a quick second to make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit that notification bell for future updates. Okay, without any further ado, let's get into it.
Culture being the ideas, the art, and social behavior of a certain group of people, and vulture being pretty much anyone who strives to come up off the culture in a disingenuous way or a dishonest way. Same thing. Now, we're not even a minute in, and I already have to make a clarification because people blow this shit out of proportion all the time. Everything is cultural appropriation now. I guess we just can't share anything anymore. If you just consume or indulge in other cultures, no one is getting mad at you, right? A black person eating kung pao chicken isn't offensive. A white person listening to a rap song isn't causing a Twitter riot. Even the suburban kids who live vicariously through their favorite rapper, you know, quoting King Von but gets stuffed in their locker on the regular. That's corny but harmless at the same time. The issue arises when you try profiting off another culture, whether it be financially or socially. Because if that isn't really you, people will sniff that shit out.
I love the way that Dupe Lee chopped up that definition of culture vulture. And like he said, anyone outside of a culture trying to profit off that culture, whether it be financially or socially, is truly acting like an opportunist. Now, I understand if you infatuated with a culture, you want to dress like them, listen to their music, eat their food and shit like that, that's not a problem. But when you get to trying to profit off of that culture and you truly don't understand that culture, now you're acting like a culture vulture. Let's listen to some of the things Trap Lawyer Ross have said and done and see if we can identify a motivation of financial gain.
Dave, you got anything else? Tell me, Ross, like, what do you think of the culture? What do you think the culture is?
Bro, I love that question, man. I think that the culture, it depends what culture we're talking about, but for me, hip-hop culture has always been about success and aspiration. So bear in mind, right, a lot of people come at me, and I completely understand. They say, you're just this white nerd from the suburbs in England. You don't know anything about this real hip-hop shit. And fine, you're kind of right. But at the same time, I grew up my whole life in this suburban English area, a million miles away from let's say, the Marcy Projects or Jamaica Queen.
But what I am here for is making videos and documentaries that impact the culture. Okay? If I drop, I want it to be making a splash. I want to be making a video about the big stuff that's going on in the space. Okay? I want to be making a video that is a straight banger that everybody wants to see. And on reflection, Eminem and his wife's divorce was maybe not the popping hip-hop thing that everybody wanted to hear. So, look, I can admit it wasn't that popping. I'm very grateful for 814,000 views in it's probably 3 now, about coming up 3 months. I'm grateful for that. I appreciate that. But the King Von video got damn near that in 24 hours, okay? Because I knew what I was doing, okay? My finger was on the pulse. I know that people want to know about Von.
Here we have Trap Lawyer Ross talking about how much he knows that he's from the suburbs of the UK, a million miles away from an American hood, and how he truly don't understand the hip-hop culture. Now, hip-hop culture is code for black culture. You see, anybody can sit down in front of their computer and Google a year straight. It would never help you completely understand how our black culture is the way we are. It's too many layers to that onion, too many variables to consider. He also goes on to talk about how his Eminem documentary didn't do as well as his King Von documentary. He gets into numbers. Now, when someone starts talking about numbers, this is clear signs of profit, whether it's financial or social. Let's look at some more things Trap Lawyer Ross is talking about.
This is it. Or on the street, like Trap Lawyer Ross might be doing a documentary on you. I'm ask you, like, what's your thoughts on that, like, if he was to do it?
Called me like, man, what, damn, you know, he did one on Vine, so I go look at it and I see that, oh, no. I just don't want no, like, incriminating stuff, cause I ain't got time for that.
Now, that's public record, so you can't do shit about that, all right? Public record, baby. I'm trying to keep the video up. Like, let's be real, right? The video is covered under fair use. You can hit me with some fake paperwork, and get a video temporarily taken down, but I can censor any picture. I can release, look, I've written, if you don't throw the whole kitchen sink, any paper, whatever you want to throw at me, right? But like, the video is still going to be up. I actually ain't no snitch. So the ongoing intimidation campaign from Empire Records, including frivolous takedown notices, has caused me personal distress, not to mention threats, direct threats of physical violence from Empire employees, such as a Mr. Mark Bowl. Do with what that information you will. I would say that I've suffered personal harm, distress, as a result of the actions of Empire employees. Now
this situation between Trap Lord Ross and Tay Savage is truly revealing the Trap Lord Ross' true character. Now, we heard Tay Savage say he's seen the documentary that Trap Lord Ross put out about King Von, and that bitch was kind of shady. He also said he don't mind Trap Lord Ross putting out a documentary on him, as long as it ain't too incriminating. Said he ain't got no time for that. Now, for those that don't know, you can be charged with murder on the state level and beat that murder, but the feds can turn around and pick it up. Now, the feds may not mess with it, but if there's a lot of public opinion and a public attention on it, they may feel impelled to either make an example out of you or that they have to do something because, you know, people may think they could be getting away with murder. Now, Tay Savage told Trap Lord Ross, hey, I like to work with you. But there's no clear signs that Trap Lord Ross ever got in contact with Tay Savage once he was finished with the project and say, hey, this is what I'm putting out. Now, when Tay Savage people and Tay Savage contacted Trap Lord Ross to express how they felt, Trap Lord Ross didn't say, hey, I'm going to cut this out or I'm going to do this and stop doing that. Said, hey, you can hit me with as much paperwork as you want to, but I'm still going to put the video out. It's still going to stay up. Not caring at all about how this man felt about this documentary that he put out. He also goes on to say, hey, I'm not a snitch, but then dry snitch in ways about how threatened he feels by these people and how you can do what you can with that information. It's a total sign of a culture vulture, not caring about what he putting out, but totally knowing what it is that he's doing. Now let's look at some more signs to see and how much Trap Lord Ross truly knows how his behavior is affecting the culture in a negative way.
Speak on it. I know the street code suggests you're not supposed to snitch, you're not supposed to speak on anything that happens. He walked in and said, who said I killed who? I was shitting my pants, bro. I was so scared. The real Brick Baby walked in the room and I'd just been talking all sorts of shit about Brick Baby. This was 3 weeks ago. November the 8th. Bro, I dropped my drink, bro. I was so scared. I literally, Brick walks in the room and I dropped my drink. I was shook. I thought I was going to need to run out that bitch.
Because that's... Now we hear out of Trap Lord Ross' own mouth. He understands our street code. So he knows that we wouldn't appreciate him putting in any incriminating shit in these videos and online and all of this shit that he's talking about in detail. Then he goes on to talk about how scared he was when he seen Brick Baby walk in the room. Now, why would you be scared? Well, probably because you know the shit that you're saying about Brick Baby in your documentaries and your shit you put in on YouTube and all of this is incriminating and hurtful, could be hurtful to Brick Baby. The question that I would like to know is why Brick Baby would accept it. You know, why Brick Baby wouldn't put some pressure on him. You know, because that shit could get you caught up. You know what I'm saying? But we clearly see that he knows.
Because that's a beef that it's hard to find too much information about.
Because what the fuck is y'all trying to find it for one? If it's
what are you trying to find it for? It's not like this guy was on, you know, the Billboard charts talking about real murders that he'd done. It's not like this is one of the most insane phenomenons in hip-hop history. You know what I'm saying? Why are you trying to find out? why some dude made millions of dollars bragging about actual murders he did. Trap Lord Ross apparently has to give money to Von's family because he made a documentary about a murderer. But, you know what I'm saying? How about Von give some of those millions? I heard Von was worth $18 million when he died. I heard his estate was worth 18 mil. How about giving some of that to the families? How about giving some of that to FBG Duck's mom? How about that? You're not ready for that conversation. See the cogs working.
I ain't never released no song that got the parentheses. This song in it.
Sure, you never released a song with the parentheses diss song, but you are releasing music that is like perpetuating the gang lifestyle of King Von. And the irony is here, you want to talk about like, bro, Von didn't do none of that shit, that's all cap. Bro, this is your own song with King Von, and he's talking about they killed Brick. This is what, FBG Duck's brother? They caught him Brick and they hit him in his shit, bro. This is a real murder. This is your song. I ain't never diss no rapper. This is the first line of the song with Von. Sada Baby is dissing fellow rapper Debo Lottie, man.
There's just a massive desire for somebody who's gonna break it down in a YouTube video. So like the dude who does it is gonna get hella views, even if he has no fucking clue and doesn't actually have much fucking information to go on.
Like, bro, if you're not gonna speak on it and you're literally raising hell in your city and leaving a trail of destruction, people are getting shot, people are getting hurt, there's articles written about your beef, there's Reddit speculation, of course somebody's gonna put it together. I think
we see here where Trap Lord Ross is speaking about an interview between Adam 22 and Sada Baby. In this interview, Sada Baby is talking about the beef between him and 42 Dugg. He talks about how that beef is nothing he's trying to promote. He talks about how he never made a diss song about 42 Dugg. He's basically saying that's some shit for the streets. And he's wondering why a person like Trap Lord Ross would want to come and dig that up and promote that. You can hear Trap Lord Ross talking about how King Von is a murderer and all of this type of shit that has nothing to do with the interview. He never really speaks about what Sada Baby and Adam 22 is talking about. 42 Dugg and Sada Baby's beef is something that they have kept between themselves. Something that Trap Lord Ross just don't understand. There's a point where Adam 22 talked about, you know, if you doing street shit and you a street nigga and you don't get on the internet and talk about the shit, it leaves an opportunity for people like him and Trap Lord Ross, who doesn't know shit about what's going on with the situation, to get on and talk about it and profit off of it. And then, you know, you hear Trap Lord Ross saying, yeah, this is something that I can do. Somebody's going to put it together. This is a clear sign of a culture vulture, getting involved in the culture, don't know what's going on, but trying to profit off of it socially and financially. And in the process of doing so, he just totally disrespected Sada Baby, calling him a cock and all types of foul shit. It's just interesting, and it's easy to see the true character of this culture vulture.
When people say culture vulture, I think it's an interesting term. A vulture is an animal that scavenges on something dead. It swoops in when something is dead and it eats off the bones of something, right? So the term culture vulture is literally one of the most sinister things that anyone can be called, because it implies that you're eating a culture that's in peril, that's struggling for its life, that you're trying to get the meat off of that. But what would you say to people that said, well, by definition, you are a vulture because there's not much there that enhances the culture, or you don't add to it?
Yeah, I
think that's a
fair
fair
assessment. It's a
assessment.
fair assessment, you know, because I mean, you also made a show, right, Hip Hop Homicides, where you talk about these things, and I assume that your intention with that is to kind of contribute to the conversation around these topics.
We tried to see, okay, how did all of this happen? But the most important part of the show for me was to talk directly, to be on O Block, to be on 63rd, to be in Chicago with Dave, and just see how this is actually fucking people's lives.
I think
So
it's
that's
just
what I would say
it's
to
really a difference of as far as like how you want to approach the project. Because obviously the counter argument to that would be, well, you're exploiting these grieving families for people's entertainment. Like, people want to blame me, but then they just completely skip over the labels. And there's been a lot of hate for labels, not just for like promoting the gang violence, but also like kind of promoting all of this drug use and death, you know, whether it's the Juice Worlds or the Futures. When it comes to labels, they really don't seem to care about, you know, whatever they're putting out, whether it's the black community or just the music listening community in general.
Making whatever we're making, talking to whomever we're talking to, doing whatever we're doing. Forget about Dirk. Forget about Vaughn. Let's not play the what about game. What about the rappers? What about this? What about that? What is your responsibility? And if you say, I don't have a responsibility because the rappers don't have a responsibility, that's fine. I personally think that that's actually not taking responsibility or for who you are. I think that's what about it, or what about these other niggas that's doing it.
In this conversation that Trap Lord Ross had with Van and Dave, we could see how masterful of a culture vulture Trap Lord Ross truly is. He does an excellent job of dodging the questions that Van has asked him. He also does an excellent job of not taking accountability and responsibility for the negative impact that his videos and documentaries have on our culture. When Van asks him, what would you say to people that say, by definition, you're a culture vulture? He turns around and calls Van a culture vulture by saying, hey, with your hip hop homicide series, you were taking advantage of the grieving families and all of this type of shit. He also goes as far as like saying, you know, people are not holding these hip hop labels accountable for promoting negativity and putting out artists that's rapping about violence, etc., etc. This is a masterful way of pointing a finger away from you to someone else and saying, hey, why are you blaming me? Why are you talking about me when these other people are doing the things that they're doing? I think Van did an excellent job of kind of breaking that down and saying, what responsibility do you have as an individual? I just wish that Van would have made him elaborate more, made Trap Lord Ross elaborate more on what his responsibility was as an individual.
So, AK, I want to say this, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned Dirk. When Dirk put these lyrics out here to the world. When Dirk put those lyrics out there and people sliding, he a street nigga. When Trap Ross or you start speaking on it, it's like these niggas nerds. That's how the streets looking at it. And it's like when y'all create these videos and niggas slide to y'all videos, street niggas like, damn, y'all slide to these goofies? Y'all listen to the DJ Academics? Yeah, you gonna slide to Dirk, it's different. He a street nigga, so it's like, it's a disconnect there because it's like, y'all don't understand us and we don't understand y'all. These niggas, they really in the midst of this shit and you not. They not laughing and making no jokes when they slap. Y'all laughing, making money when people die.
I think that this point that Dave made here is one of the most crucial and important points for us to take in consideration. I don't think that culture vultures like Trap Lord Ross and DJ Academics truly care about the fact that when they're putting out these videos and promoting what they're promoting in the way that they're promoting it outside of the culture, outside of a culture that they truly don't understand, how that is promoting the violence in a different way. How the next generation then is going to say, hey, I can get a documentary by this white dude from UK, or I can have this guy from Jamaica talk about me on his podcast in front of all of these millions of viewers. This is different from if a gangbanger or another person from the hood talked about it, because this is something that they agreed upon. You have nothing to do with it. So when you're promoting it and you're pushing it and people ride or slide or join a gang because of what you're promoting, it has a different impact. It hits different. Now that's the end of this video. Leave comments below and let me know what you think. And look forward to my next video, exposing culture vultures. Until next time, keep it all raw.